So if you've been hurt, call me. My team wants to win for you. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know. 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
In the wee hours of the night, when everyone else is fast asleep, you're the one on third shift, burning the midnight oil. When a part fails and everything comes to a grinding halt, regardless of what the clock on the wall says, you leap into action. Grainger is with you and all the ones who get it done. With 24/7 customer support by phone or click to chat. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Touchdown, Kansas City! Patrick Mahomes!
The best Chiefs coverage live from St. Joe is only on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The chemistry that they've built already is tremendous.
Keep it on Sports Radio 810 WHB for all the latest.
I'm ready.
From training camp to the Super Bowl, your home for the best Chiefs coverage is Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Sports talk powered by fans.
All right, boys.
Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City, the power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott Traylor, along with Kirk Elliott. We're the Racing Boys. Todd Surprise leading the broadcast today. Deidre Ingram helping out as well. Austin O'Neill not here today. If you haven't heard lately, Austin O'Neill blew his motor up at I-80 on Wednesday night. And as soon as he blows his motor up, what happens, Kirk? People want him to be on their team as a crew member, and he is down helping Ayrton Geniton today. Ayrton had a pretty decent run last night down there at Lake Ozark Speedway. How you doing, Kirk? You doing all right?
I'm doing good. I stayed home last night and watched races all over the country. Man, what a night of racing. There's a lot to talk about after last night.
There is plenty going on to talk about. I think we probably should start up at I-80 up in Greenwood, Nebraska. Last night they ran dual heat races up there last night. Now, I don't know why they would do dual heat races and not a feature. Do you know any reason for that, Kurt?
Well, just a different qualifying. There was no time trials, which that's very rare.
That was weird.
Of course, Thursday night they had the regular Lucas Oil format of time trials and heats and a main. But last night, the first night of the Silver Dollar Nationals, a qualifying night, as it were.
Right.
No time trials. They line up all 60 cars.
Passing points.
And they had 2 rounds of 5 heat races, and passing points were accumulated. And the top 18 and passing points are locked in and lined up for tonight's A main.
And our good friend that's been on our show several times on Mostly Motorsports during the week, Mike Marlar, from Winfield, Tennessee, he's going to be starting on the pole tonight. That's good news for Mike. I hope that he wins.
He's got a good shot at 80 laps around I-80 Speedway, and he's got a good shot at it.
You know, he's won a $50,000 race this year. He won a $25,000 race. He won a $10,000 race. But he's got some pretty tough people behind him. Maybe one of the hottest drivers in the country, Bobby Pierce, will be starting on the second row inside, right behind Mike Marlar. Ricky Thornton Jr., the 20RT car, is going to be starting on the second row outside. Tim McCready on the front row outside. So it's got some pretty tough people right behind him. Jonathan Davenport's going to be starting on the fourth row inside. Jimmy Owens. A lot of heavy hitters starting up towards the front of this deal.
Yeah, I'm looking down through the starting grid tonight, and the former winners of this race. Tim McCready won this race in 2017. Jonathan Davenport's a 2-time winner of the Silver Dollar Nationals, and Brandon Shepard, who is starting on the outside of row number 5, won this event 2 years ago. But Bobby Pierce, probably the most exciting of the wins when he banged his car off the wall throughout the race 3 years ago to win that race. So we'll see if Mike Marlar, he's a 3-time Knoxville Nationals champion. the only guy to win the Knoxville Late Model Nationals 3 times, so he's pretty good on these half-mile racetracks. See if he can pick up his first at I-80 Speedway, the last Silver Dollar Nationals, unfortunately. Right. Everybody's sad about that, but starting on the pole, he's been the most consistent. We talked about this yesterday on your show, Mostly Motorsports. He's been the most consistent late model driver. He's got like 6 or 15 top 5 finishes going. That's consecutive.
Yep.
And so, boy, that's a mark of consistency, what Mike Marlar's got going on right now.
He's been the most consistent guy, but you sit here and you look at some of the guys that are pretty fast.
Yeah.
I got to sit here and go back to this week when Bobby Pierce came from 20th to run third.
Thursday night.
On Thursday night. There's just a little piece of me that thinks that Bobby Pierce is going to be the guy that's going to win this race.
Could be. The one guy we haven't talked about yet was the biggest story of the night, Chris Madden, who won the race on Thursday night, got his car heavily damaged in a 5-car pileup down in turn number 1. And I'm not sure what the status is of that race car. If they're going to roll out another car tonight for Chris Madden.
Tore it up bad.
But it was bent up pretty bad.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I didn't really see what caused that. Could you tell what happened right there? Because he got up in the wall and then he kind of flipped around there a little bit. He didn't get upside down, but immediately when they pulled that car in, they covered it up with a tarp. They didn't want anybody to see the suspension on that car because you know how secretive they are about suspension parts on their race cars. They immediately covered that car up. I think they're going to have to roll out a backup car.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's something about late model guys. They don't want you to see what's going on down there. Sprint car guys aren't that way, are they?
No. You just got bars. You know what sprint car guys are? They're a little protective of their shocks. They'll cover up their shocks. That's about it.
Yeah. But, no, he was diving down into the first turn last night, and it just looked like he just got in just a little bit
too deep in there and got up in the cushion and got into the wall.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me too.
So, but anyway, it was a pretty vicious wreck for Chris Madden, who has been on a roll this year, and he got into it with Dusty Leonard entering the first turn, that number 7 car, and then the car just kind of, got sideways and just couldn't get out of that situation. Tyler Bruning was also one of the cars in that wreck, along with John Anderson, who's driving the second car that Chase Youngans is driving. Remember John Anderson from the old MLRA series?
Yeah,
champion from that series.
We did a behind the wheel. We followed them one night. Remember,
back behind the wheel of a race car, so he was involved in that.
He won the championship that night that we followed him. Yeah. If you remember,
Dusty Leonard's car was on top of John Anderson's 18 car.
Right.
I mean, that's where it ended up. So it took him a while to clean up that wreck.
Kirk, I'm sitting here looking at the lineup. It doesn't look like Bobby Pierce has made it into the show yet.
Yeah, he is.
Where's he at?
Lining up inside row 2 for tonight's
Oh, there he is. Yep, Oakwood, Illinois. Yep,
right.
Sure enough. Okay.
So, again, the 18
hold on a second.
locked in.
Who do you pick out of all these guys? I'm as much as I want to pick Mike Marlar to win, I think Bobby Pierce is the guy to beat.
Could be.
Who do you think? You got one that stands out to you out of all the guys that have been in there? How about Brandon Shepard? He's going to be starting on the 5th row outside. B-Shep.
You can't count out Tim McCready, T-Mac.
He's
starting on the outside of the front row.
He's always good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all you got to do is just go back and look at Eldora, right? How good he was there.
I think it's wide open. It's hard to pick.
Do you think that
it's hard to pick?
You think I-80 is a little bit like Eldora, and it might suit Tim McCready's driving style a little bit because the way he got around Eldora so well, right?
Well, another guy that gets around Eldora pretty well, that's the $1 Million Man, Jonathan Davenport.
Right.
So you can't count him out. He's starting
4th row inside.
He's starting 7th in this race. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's hard to pick. It really is.
$53,000 to win this race.
And 80 laps, it's not 100. We know whenever they run 100 laps in late model racing, things change.
Right.
You know, at the end of the race is not like it is at the beginning. And I think the same thing's going to be true with this 80-lap race. And we've seen guys come from the back of the pack and challenge for
many times
the win up at that race. So, man, it's so hard to pick. Hard to pick.
You know, it's such a sad deal that they're going to be closing up that racetrack at the end of the year.
God, boy, yeah. It's
one of the great racetracks in the country, really.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about the action it puts on the racetrack, I-80 in Greenwood, Nebraska has got to be one of the best racetracks around.
And a large amount of credit goes to Steve Kosiski, who heads up the track prep on this.
And you got to give Joe Kosiski a little credit, too. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those guys, you know, they know late models. They've been around it all their life.
Yeah.
And so the passion that they have put into this event is real because that's who they are.
Right.
They're late model guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the success of this event over the last 12 years is largely because of the passion that the Kosiski family has put into this event. The crowds have been great. It's going to be a packed house night, and that's a large grandstand. You've been up to I-80 Speedway
for sure.
many times. That grandstand seats a lot of people, and so this event, I think it rivals whatever Eldora's got going on, to me.
There's no way, Kurt.
It rivals that.
There's no chance it rivals Eldora. Eldora pays $1 million to win. This pays 53.
Well, I'm talking.
No. When it comes to the dollars and cents, there's nothing that comes close.
I'm not going to argue
Eldora.
that. I'm not going to argue with that point. But I'm just talking in terms of just a fan experience going to this event and watching what goes on the racetrack. This is as big as it gets. What they got going on up there.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think Eldora is much bigger. So that's just my opinion.
Well, not a whole lot bigger in terms of the fan experience and what goes on at the racetrack.
Well,
money-wise, yes.
I'm still going to disagree with you because Eldora, when they have the $1 million to win race out there, there's campers for miles and miles. They're everywhere at Eldora. More people are passionate about Eldora than just about any other late model track in the country. And I think more fans go to Eldora to watch the million than I bet you there's not even I'll say this. I bet you there's not even a third of the people at I-80 that there is at Eldora.
Oh, I think there's probably
the crowd was pretty thin last night.
Half to three-quarters.
That crowd was pretty thin last night.
It was?
Yeah.
I thought they had a big crowd last night.
Well, it wasn't as big as the first night. I thought the crowd was a little bit bigger on the first night.
Tonight it'll be packed.
It will be packed tonight. There's no doubt about it. Hey, let's talk a little bit about down at Lake Ozark Speedway last night. The All-Star Circuit of Champions were racing down there. And Tyler Courtney picked up the win, but Joe B. Miller made it interesting right there at the end, didn't he, Kurt?
I thought maybe he was going to pull it off there.
I did too.
He actually had the lead on Courtney off the fourth turn before Tyler slipped back by him. Sunshine just barely nabbed the win over Joe B. Miller. That was a heck of a finish.
That was a good race. Yeah. That was pretty good stuff down there last night. You know, for a minute there, I thought Zeb Weiss might end up winning that race. He was running second. He was running pretty strong there. Gio was running third at the start of that race. Then Scotty Thiel got upside down, brought out the yellow. And then Rico. Did you see what happened to Rico last night? He jumped a Uke tire down there in the infield. And
twice, didn't he?
No, he did it once. But then he continued to keep going. And then a few laps later, he got upside down.
Yeah. We didn't really see. Did they show the video where he hit the Uke tire to begin with? I missed that part.
They never showed it, but they said that he hit the Uke tire. Yeah.
So that's pretty rough ending for Rico last night. Parker Price Miller was up to as high as second at one time in that race too.
Right.
So
man, what a great job, Parker Price Miller. If you don't know the story about Parker Price Miller, he's been dealing with cancer all year, and he is consistently running up front when he was doing his treatments, he was running up front. I think there was a streak of 10 races in a row that he finished in the top 10 with the All-Star Circuit of Champions. And for a guy that was going through chemo, I'm telling you, the young Parker Price Miller is doing a heck of a job.
Oh, man. Yeah, winning. And not, just the fact that he's out racing after going through all that, but the fact that he has won races and competed at a high level after going through those cancer treatments, that is really amazing.
I want to give a little bit of a shout-out to Ayrton Geniton, who ran 8th last night. He got him a top 10 finish with the All-Star Circuit of Champions down at Lake Ozark Speedway. Ayrton's really starting to come on as a driver, isn't he?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
He's really starting to figure it out.
Yeah, so, I mean, he just what you see, the advancement in his whole program from year to year, it's been pretty steady. A steady climb, and another year or two, he's going to be right up there with
He's going to be right in the middle of it. Because you think about all the drivers that run with the All-Star Circuit of Champions, they're some of the best drivers in the country, right? Yeah. And when you run in the top 10 with those guys, you're doing something. Cap Henry last night, he started 14th. He ran 7th. I enjoy watching Cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy from out of Ohio, and he came in there last night and ran a pretty solid finish in that feature event last night. Yeah. No doubt about it. Joe B. Miller came just that close from pulling off a double last night. He won the non-wing Power Eye War Series feature event
first and a second last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
he won the War race, right? He won it, and he runs second to Tyler Courtney in the wing portion of this show. So good night for Joe B. Miller. He has to be happy about that.
And Whit Gastineau wins the Oil Capital Racing Series feature last night.
Let me tell you this, Kirk. I think if Joe B. Miller ran full-time with the All-Stars, he'd be a handful for those guys.
No doubt about it.
I think that he's got the talent to do it. But I guess you kind of got to give him a shout-out, right? Because Joe B. Miller is a guy that doesn't run with the All-Star Circuit of Champions all the time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that was amazing what he was able to do with the All-Stars last night.
Yeah, no doubt.
And that we'll see moving forward tonight. They're back there at Lake Ozark Speedway, and then next Thursday and Friday night at I-70 Motorsports Park. So I'm sure that Joe B., I would assume he'd be locked and loaded for those 2 nights of racing out there.
Yeah. How about old Lance DeWeese last night winning at Williams Grove out there in PA, Kirk?
The Posse sweeps the top 3 last night.
That,
that move that he made on Brent Marks last night was that's pure classic Lance DeWeese at Williams Grove Speedway. I mean, what Marks has done here in the last week, winning both the historical Big One and the King's Royal, $275,000. He didn't have that good of a night Wednesday night at Port Royal. Kyle Larson won there, but at Williams Grove Speedway, is there anybody better in the history of that racetrack than Lance DeWeese?
You know how many wins he's got?
106 career wins.
106 wins.
Amazing.
Can you imagine that, winning 106 races at one racetrack?
Great.
That's crazy.
Then Anthony Macri.
You know what that's kind of similar to is Danny Lasowski and his win record, because what's Danny got, like 110 up at Knoxville, something like that?
What Danny has done at Knoxville.
Right.
Lance DeWeese is the guy at Williams Grove Speedway. And he hasn't raced all of the races this year, and it's been kind of an up and down year for Lance, but boy, they had that car working last night.
Yeah, no doubt.
And, Anthony Macri finishing in 3rd place last night.
The Posse cleaned up last night, didn't they?
Yep. Brad Sweet looked like he was going to get a pretty good run out of it, but he was swept out of the top 3 by Macri there towards the end of that race.
So Lance DeWeese wins the race. Brent Marks is 2nd. Anthony Macri 3rd. 2 of the hottest drivers in the country when you talk about Brent Marks and Anthony Macri.
Yeah.
And then you throw in Lance DeWeese, one of the old-timers that really knows how to get it done there at Williams Grove, picks up the win last night. That was pretty good stuff. I enjoyed that race pretty.
That was one of the better races that we've seen at Williams Grove Speedway.
It was really good. Robert Ballou didn't make many friends at Gas City last night, did he?
Oh, my. Brady Bacon and C.J. Leary, especially not happy with
C.J. Leary, and I think we have a little bit of video for the people that are watching online. He got it second, right? Brady got it first.
Yeah.
And then C.J. Leary gets the right rear there later in the race. And then C.J. Leary runs over there and tries to just heel stomp Robert Ballou inside of his car. He just tries to he just kicks him. You know what? That makes more sense than trying to hit somebody with your fist.
That was a vicious wreck that Leary had, too.
It was.
The tail tank got cheered off that car.
And he immediately wanted to get out of that car and confront Robert Ballou over it.
Yeah,
right?
the safety crew was trying to tip the car over.
And he's trying to get out of it.
Yeah, Leary was already unstrapped out of the car, and he was crawled out of it before they had a chance to get it over on its feet. He was so mad.
Yeah, and as soon as they got that car up on its side, he came out of that car, and he immediately took off running and runs across the infield over to Robert Ballou to confront him and to tell him, I don't know what he told him, but I'm sure it wasn't pleasant. But anyway, he gets over there, and then all of a sudden, he just starts kicking Robert Ballou inside the car. It was crazy. And the first time he kicked him, he fell down. Then he gets back up, and then he tries to kick a couple more times. Then Robert grabs his foot, tries to pull him down. Pretty interesting stuff.
You know, another vicious crash 10 laps into the race, Brady Bacon and Robert Ballou got together, and Brady takes a wild flip off the back straightaway, and he wasn't very happy, but he didn't do like what C.J. Leary did and start throwing punches, but he had a conversation with Robert Ballou during that red flag. He wasn't happy either.
No.
So we're going to take a look at that here for those of you watching offline. Brady Bacon's wild flip.
Yeah, and Brady went over and had a few words with him as well, didn't he? But he didn't try to punch him.
No. But Brady is he's a cool guy, right? You got to really work hard.
He's the macho man. If your name is Macho Man, you should go over there and throw a punch. Todd, would a Macho Man go over there and throw a punch after that would happen?
The real Macho Man would be
He'd come off the top rope, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Macho Man. I'd say, though, Brady Bacon is, like Kirk said, he's a cool customer, man. He's a cool kid. So, like you said, he took a couple. He was really hot when he threw those gloves off, and he
was not happy. All right. Well, listen, we need to take a break. When we come back, we're going to play some sound. We've done a lot of interviews this week at Mostly Motorsports. Yeah.
I need to say, to wrap up the Gas City, Shane Cottle was the winner. Oh, by the way. And, boy, what a great job he did last night. So
he did
I just want to call that out. Shane Cottle was really the star of the show last night.
I don't know. I think Robert Ballou was the star of the show.
Yeah, but not in a good way.
Well, not in a good way. But all right. So anyway, we're going to take a break. Track Talk is brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We'll be back in a moment right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Stay tuned.
Track Talk. Stephen St. John here for Amini's. You want it? Amini's has it. With 6-year no-interest financing. Check out the largest in-stock selection of indoor and outdoor home entertainment pieces in the Kansas City area. Get entire outdoor furniture sets for $99 a month. Pool tables starting at $39 a month. Or Golden Tee Golf for only $89 per month. Pick your payment with no interest financing. There's only one place I recommend. The same people I shop for my home. Amini's, 105th and Metcalf in Overland Park, or Aminis.com.
I'm McCall with Lee Summit Used Cars. Why buy from us? To get connected. We're a local family-owned dealership that offers a free lifetime warranty. Getting connected includes our state-of-the-art detail center, master technician service support, body shop and collision center. Getting connected means you're getting peace of mind protection, not only with our lifetime warranty for your car, but a lifetime commitment to you. Get connected. Go to LeeSummitUsedCars.com and fall in love with driving again with a lifetime warranty.
The Balderson Auto Group is an automotive source for dozens of reasons. 3 great dealerships provide everything you need.
We have over 500 vehicles, virtually anything you would want. Ford, Honda, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, and more.
We also service all makes and models, all maintenance and parts, all bodywork and detailing. We keep your vehicle looking like new.
We are the oldest, largest family-owned auto group in Kansas City. Almost 50 years of service to over 1 million customers.
Thank you, Kansas City.
Johnson County Community Corrections is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts. Go to jocogov.org for more details about a new career that has a mission and vision. Click on careers at jocogov.org to learn more. Do you want great pay and benefits and a $2,000 signing bonus? That's right, $2,000. Openings include correctional advisors and youth correctional advisors. Great pay, great benefits, and a $2,000 signing bonus. Go to jocogov.org and start your application today to help shape lives for the better.
NHRA Camping World Drag Racing is the fastest, most explosive sport on earth, and the Menards NHRA Nationals presented by Pet Armor is heading back to Heartland Motorsports Park in Topeka August 12th through 14th. Feel the power, 11,000 horsepower, 300 miles per hour racing action. Get up close to the race pits and smell that nitro because every ticket is a pit pass. It's can't miss entertainment and fun for the whole family. Kids 12 and under are free. Get tickets at NHRA.com. Whether you're looking for energy savings or updating your home office or man cave, One Stop Decorating is the place for beautiful, energy-efficient window coverings. One Stop Decorating offers free in-home or virtual consultations, or you can come into one of their 3 beautiful showrooms to see all the window coverings in their Hunter Douglas galleries. Ask about smart shades that can be controlled by Google, Alexa, and HomeKit. 913-270-0408, 913-270-0408, or onestopdecorating.com. Your home, your windows, your style.
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinion, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. Want to thank Lucas Oil Products for being such a great sponsor of the Racing Boys for the last 12 years. They've been such a great asset to the Racing Boys all these years. Beating up and down the road with us. They were a part of our national tour broadcast for so many years, and we're thankful that they are the title sponsor to Mostly Motorsports as well as Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Kirk, we had a chance to talk to Brent Marks this week.
Yeah, you had him as a guest on Wednesday on Mostly Motorsports. And
talked about his big win.
That's fresh off the big 2 wins, the first time in history anybody has won the historical big one and the Kings Royal in the same year.
$275,000.
Right. Now, it'd been 19 years since they last ran the historical big one.
Right.
But after he pulls that off 3 days later, he wins $175,000 for winning the Kings Royal. And Scott Traylor visited with Brent Marks, one of the big stars in wing sprint car racing, earlier this week. Here's a portion of that conversation.
He was the winner of the historical big one in the 39th annual Kings Royal. Brent Marks joins us now on the show. Brent, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Man, are you still pinching yourself trying to think about all the money that you've won at Eldora and just everything, how it all came together for you at Eldora this year?
Yeah, I mean, it was just such an amazing experience. I just, I don't know any other way to describe it besides that. And,
right.
It was just, it was a great weekend. And, we been working extremely hard to put this program together to get to a point where we're consistently racing for wins. And I feel like we've gotten to that point. And, just to win those 2 races this past weekend was really just a dream come true. And also it's kind of, we kind of made a point of, how hard we've been working to get to this point. So it's just, like I said, it's just an amazing experience, and we're continuing to try and enjoy every single second of it.
Yeah. Did you feel like you started deep in the field in the historical big one? You were way back there. What was it, 14th, I think it was? I think you started?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And you made it up there and you win that race. Did you feel like you had a lot of confidence when you were going into the Kings Royal after winning the historical big one?
Yeah, I mean, I just know how difficult those races are, and, I had confidence in the weekend that, we could, I think, contend for this win. And, it was really difficult starting that deep in the field on Thursday night, and especially with so many good race teams in front of us. And, they reworked the track prior to that, which is kind of not normal for Eldora, so it kind of threw us for a curveball a little bit, and, we started the race out extremely tight, and honestly, it just didn't feel like we were going to be able to work our way up through there. And then things just started happening throughout the race, and I was able to gain some spots, and restarts, and the track started widening out and getting more slick, and my car started coming in, and then we really just started coming on and passing race cars there at the end. And next thing you know, I find myself in second chasing down, Tyler Courtney there, and it's just, it was crazy how much that race actually changed for us. And, but to come from that far back and win it was really special. And then, after winning that, I felt like we had one of the best shots at winning the Kings Royal, but we just needed to, get ourselves in position and get the first half of the night put together. And, I felt like if we could start up near the front, we'd have a really good shot at it. And we did. And it all worked out great for us. So it was just, it was just an amazing week. Like I said, so much effort and work put into this race team by my guys. And, we've all have the same, mindset and goals in mind. And just, it's just a lot of fun working with them. And we're having a lot of fun right now. And, I'm very thankful and blessed to be in the position that I am.
Yeah, no doubt. Did you feel Donnie Schatz kind of putting that heat on you there at the end of the race a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I just was kind of peeking up at the big screen there through 1 and 2, and knew Donnie was in second, and I just wanted to make sure I hit my line, and I felt the most comfortable up against the wall, and I felt good in the middle and then in the bottom, the first part of the race, and I know Donnie really likes to try to get the middle to work. So I was just making sure I hit my marks, and car felt really good. And I felt like it would have been really difficult for him to get by me, running that type of lines, as long as I didn't make any mistakes. So, I did the best I could there, and felt like I did a good job. And, Donnie's one of the best out there, and be able to hold him off was definitely really cool. So, I know he wanted that race really, really bad, and so did I. So,
yeah,
we definitely gave it our all, that's for sure.
Do you take any extra satisfaction out of beating a guy, a 10-time World of Outlaw champion like Donnie Schatz? Do you get any added satisfaction out of outrunning a guy like him?
I mean, he's been one of the best drivers over, the last, decade or more. And they've been the best race team for a long time. And so anytime you can, beat them or outrun them, it means a lot, but anytime you race a World of Outlaw race and you're able to beat the Outlaws in general, and it goes for the All-Stars too. And, it's just, it means a lot to you as a driver and to a race team that, you're able to win those races. So, it's not just Donnie, it's just everybody else. I mean, everybody is, so good, and, they're on the top of their game, and, they're out there on the tour, for a reason. So, whenever you're able to win those races, it just really, really means a lot.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about Port Royal and Williams Grove this weekend. Tonight, it's going to pay $20,000 to win. That's pretty big money, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's great that we're having all these, bigger paying races throughout the year now. And, tracks have really stepped up, series have stepped up, and we always want to see a little bit more, don't get me wrong, but, to go out and be able to race for the amount of money we have been able to in the last month and a half or so has been absolutely amazing. So, it's just, they're putting a lot of effort into and given us, good purses to race for. So, come
sure.
out here and be able to race for $20,000 tonight and another $20,000 on Saturday. And, and then next week we're going out to the All-Stars and I-70, and it's $26,000 to win. And then you have the Knoxville Nationals after that and Oskaloosa. And it's just crazy the amount of money that's flowing through the sport right now. And it's just, it's great. It's a great opportunity for everybody.
All right, there you have it. The winner of the biggest race in the country when it comes to sprint car racing, Brent Marks, picks up the $275,000. He won $100,000 on Thursday night at the historical big one. Then on Saturday night, he picks up another $275,000 in total. He outrun Donnie Schatz and Carson Macedo in that race. It was a 40-lap feature. That was some real money right there, Kurt.
And it looked like he was on his way to victory last night before Lance Deweese had other ideas.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, it's hard to outrun Lance Deweese at Williams Grove.
Yeah.
Guy's got 106 wins there.
But we can't forget Brent Marks did win the National Open here a few years ago at Williams Grove. So he's had lots of success there as well. What happened to Kyle Larson? He did end up in the top 10 last night, but he didn't. I didn't see qualifying last night. He had to start way back in the pack. He just not qualify well. I didn't see the preliminary races.
He started 13th. He ran 9th last night.
So, but he didn't have a good starting spot in the A main last night.
Well, there's a lot that goes into getting a good starting spot, but you always. Here's the thing about Kyle Larson. You always think that he can – it doesn't matter where he starts, right? You always think that he can come to the front. But last night he struggled to get up there, only improving just a few spots and getting up to 9th last night.
Well, Williams Grove Speedway starting spot means a lot there. You get too far back, it's hard to work your way up through there.
It is terribly difficult to outrun the Posse and the World of Outlaws.
Yep.
I mean, you could be the greatest sprint car driver in the world, and some people think that Kyle Larson is one of those guys, right?
And he has outrun those guys before.
He's definitely outrun those guys. But the thing about it is, when you try to outrun a guy like Lance Deweese, Brent Marks, Anthony Macri, Brad Sweet, David Gravel, Carson Macedo, Donnie Schatz, Danny Dietrich, those are the guys that finished in front of Kyle Larson last night.
Yeah, and
that's a pretty tough field of guys.
Right, and against that competition, you can't start that far back and expect to win.
No.
Hard to do.
No, it's tough to do. Do you want to play a couple little sound bites from last night up at I-80?
Yeah, we can do that. Ryan Ragland, who's up there covering the event for us, I'm going to join him up there tonight. He's been covering this event for us for a lot of years up there. And he spoke with some of the top guys that'll be starting up front, including Mike Marlar, who is the pole sitter for tonight's race. And here's Ryan's conversation with Mike Marlar.
Talking with the Racing Boys favorite, sitting on the pole, Mike Marlar. And let's see, first round, the thing was set on kill. You're just going, everything just looked real nice. Second round, you're kind of starting toward the back, still got the points, and you find yourself on the pole tomorrow night.
Yeah, it was, we had some pretty good cars in our heats, and I started 9th in one and 4th in the other, and really came through there better than I thought I was going to be able to. So it's nice to do that, and it's just nice to be able to sleep good tonight and know you're in the show. You ain't going to be mean tomorrow, so that's cool.
It kind of looked like if you were going to make a move, you had to do it early, and it just looked like maybe the tires might have been settling after about 5 or 6 laps, and you really had to push yourself if you were going to make anything happen.
Yeah, they're just 15-lap beat, or 14-lap actually heats, so you got to make it happen for sure and take advantage of it when you can. But the last heat was, we was able to move around. I don't think I got by Delta almost to the end, so. But it was just really racy tonight. That was the fun part. In the last heat, you could definitely be a little more patient, and knowing that I had a good finish in the first one helped me with that too.
The history of I-80, you know what the track's going to do. You're either going to be really low, you're going to be really high, or you're going to be in the middle. Mm-hmm. Once that rubber starts taking in, how do you set the car up for being on the pole going for the 80 laps?
Mm-hmm. Well, we just set her up, for the long term and deal with whatever, it'll cause problems early in the race, but we'll just have to deal with them. So the car was pretty good. It was just a little bit tight. But tomorrow when they'll muddy the track up quite a bit to start with, and it probably won't be exactly right for that, but hopefully I can hang around up in the front until it comes back to me.
Well, congratulations on the couple races, and we'll see what happens tomorrow night.
That's it. Thank you.
Mike Muller right there. Hey, listen, one of my favorite guys, man. I'm just going to say,
good guy.
Every time we've ever called him to be on Mostly Motorsports, he's always said yes. And he's just a really good guy. And, again, he is on one of the best top 5 streaks that we've seen in a long time. 15 consecutive top 5 appearances in the A-Mains.
And if he wins tonight, most certainly he'll be on next week, right?
he will definitely be on Mostly Motorsports next week if he wins.
No doubt about it. Tim McCready, another great guy. You just had him on here a couple of weeks ago.
Yep, sure did.
And Jonathan Davenport were together as Ryan Ragland interviewed these two guys. Tim McCready's going to be starting outside the front row tonight. Jonathan Davenport a little farther back, but here's an interesting conversation Ryan had with these two drivers, Tim McCready and Jonathan Davenport.
Talking with Tim McCready, sitting on the outside first row for the $53,000 tomorrow night for the Silver Dollar Nationals. Not your first time that you've been on the front row, not the first time I've interviewed you because you've been on the front row. First race, really, to me it looked like you had to send on kill, and then the tires kind of eased up a little bit. You kind of just took what you could get with what the tires were doing. Second round, just did what you did.
Yeah, I mean, we just like anything, I think we got to keep working. I don't think we're the best car, but we're one of the top 3 or 4. So, I don't know if starting up front's the best thing to do. I don't want to start in the back, but like if we started like 3rd, 4th, gauge how those guys are running. Sometimes it's really easy to get lost on this place and somebody gets in a way faster lane and you can't correct fast enough.
He gives a better interview after a couple of laps.
Yeah.
Jonathan Davenport, come here real quick. We'll grab you in here real quick. Just got done talking to Mark Muller, who's on the pole, and it from what he was saying, it looked like the tires were just kind of balancing out after about 5 or 6 laps. Is that what you guys were saying?
They do. They fade a little, I think.
Hell, I was just trying to get through traffic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't up front, so where I could really tell what they were doing, but I just.
We got what we got, unfortunately.
Yeah, just everybody's on the same tires.
I kind of figured with you two guys that the way you guys communicate, you were going to sit inside. Whoever got ahead, you were just going to freight train and fold a person to get through it. And Tim kind of got through. You kind of had to settle a little bit.
It was muddied where he was at. It was a lot cleaner where I was. There was nobody down where I was the first 2 laps.
Well, that was the game plan, but he totally messed that up. So, shame on him.
Well, we'll see what happens with that
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, congratulations, both you guys, and good luck tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
There you have it. There's 2 great drivers right there, Tim McCready and Jonathan Davenport. Jonathan Davenport, he's feeling pretty good about himself after picking up that $1 million at Eldora, huh?
I would say so.
Yeah.
That's a lifetime event, isn't it?
$1 million to win a race at Eldora. Can you imagine that?
Oh, my
winning
God.
that kind of money? That's life-changing material right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
It was interesting to see his reaction when he crawled out of the car when he won that race that night. He knew it was almost surreal because he knew how big it was, but it really hadn't set in yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's and Donnie Moran, who won the last $1 million win race, that was 21 years ago. I mean, they started calling him the $1 million man, Donnie Moran. After that, I mean, it changed his life forever.
But that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still, even after 20 years, how much of an effect that had on Donnie Moran's life?
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, we're going to take another break. Track Talk, again, is brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We'll be back with more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Stay tuned.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. After a car wreck, the last thing you want to do is trust the insurance company. These insurance companies try to rip off good people every single day. My law firm won't let you get ripped off. We'll fight to get you all the money you deserve, and you don't pay us a dime unless we win your case. If you've been hurt, call me. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know, 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Hi, I'm Fred Ramsey. And I'm Mark Tobin. Hey, folks, if you're not busy Saturday mornings from 6 to 7 a.m., well, I hope you'll join us for the Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet St. Joe.
Join us and our expert guests, and we'll be talking about hunting and fishing, dog training. We'll give you tips, pass along stories, and most important, share some laughs along the way.
That's right. We cover it all, from crappie to waterfowl, and we'll tell you how to cook it, too.
The Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet, Saturday morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Want to work for an organization with industry-leading benefits? UPS is hosting open hiring events on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at our Lenexa facility. Part-time positions available in multiple locations with weekly bonuses, tuition assistance, career opportunities, and a variety of shift times available. Apply online at upsjobs.com. That's upsjobs.com. UPS is an equal opportunity employer.
If you or your child suffer a sprain, strain, or fracture, the University of Kansas Health System offers orthopedic walk-in care at I-435 in Knoll in Overland Park. Whether you're injured in everyday life or playing sports, see an orthopedic expert without an appointment. Learn more about the University of Kansas Health System's Orthopedic Same-Day Clinic. Open weekdays from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. for ages 5 and older at kansashealthsystem.com/orthopedics. That's kansashealthsystem.com/orthopedics.
Looking good, Mrs. Dubs.
The head groundskeeper at Thad's Golf Course just retired.
We need to find someone in the next 2 weeks. Someone with botany and management experience.
He needs a replacement because the greens are already looking a little rough.
Water and aeration, they need to know it all.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Touchdown, Kansas City! Patrick Mahomes!
The best Chiefs coverage live from St. Joe is only on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The chemistry that they've built already is tremendous.
Keep it on Sports Radio 810 WHB for all the latest.
I'm ready.
From training camp to the Super Bowl, your home for the best Chiefs coverage is Sports Radio 810 WHB.
At Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia, new Kias are on the way, and every new vehicle comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Reserve your Kia from the area's largest selection of incoming models, like the 2022 Telluride, Sorento, or Forte. You'll get a 90-day money-back guarantee and the Kia 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia at I-35 in Santa Fe or OlatheKia.com. Customer must register vehicle. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Over 35 years ago, Wholesale Batteries opened their doors and sold their first battery. Times have changed, but their commitment to customer service is the same. The commitment they made back in 1977 stays true today. Wholesale Battery is one of the largest distributors of motorcycle batteries in the country. Stop in for anything you need for your motorcycle. They also have you taken care of for all your lawnmower needs, laptops, ATVs, power sports, computer backups, cell phones, portable electronics. When it comes to batteries, these guys have it all. Call 913-342-0113 or at wholesalebatteries.net. The right battery the first time.
Hey Kansas City, it's Jeff Briggs with Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of the Victory Effect, our pledge to drive down vehicle pricing for the city we love. It's the Make This the Summer sales event, and folks, so far interest rates remain low on vehicles. Pair that with all-time high trade values, and it's still a great time to buy. We know it's hard to find a replacement, but did you know if you custom order a new vehicle at Victory, you get to play best ball with the factory incentives? That's right. Get an accurate upfront price quote when you order today, and if the rebates are better when the vehicle arrives, the extra savings goes right in your pocket. It's a simple process, and we can show you how easy it is to customize a new vehicle and have it shipped directly to you complete with your name personalized on the window sticker. And don't forget, if you have a trade, we will buy your car at top dollar regardless of if you purchase a vehicle from us or not. Visit us at Kansas City's only automotive outlet mall, the Legends Auto Plaza, on the southeast corner of 435 and Parallel, just east of Nebraska Furniture Mart. We're online at VictoryMotorsKC.com, where our first price is better than their last.
Track Talk.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 22 years, Kurt, we've been over here. How about that? That's a couple years. How about the 100th anniversary of WHB coming up? How about that?
Yeah, that's coming up. Big celebration on Thursday, August 11th.
Right.
I believe it is. And, boy, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
100 years of WHB.
I've been here 24 years. You've been here 22 years.
Not 100, that's for sure.
Not 100. Yeah, you don't look like.
You know, I grew up as a kid. You know, it was a big top 40 station back. Where I grew up in Iowa, we
on
listened
710.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it was a big time top 40 station back when I was growing up as a kid.
Yeah, no doubt. Kirk, last night, the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour was in Batesville, Arkansas. Tim Crawley picked up the win. He beat Derek Hagar and Cody Gardner to the line.
Been a while since we've seen Tim Crawley in the Lucas Oil ASCS victory.
157 races.
Wow.
It'd been
5 years?
Yeah. No, it wasn't 5 years.
It said in the article 5 years.
Was it 5 years?
157 races.
Was it 5? It's been 5 years?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I can't even hardly believe that.
And he was a regular for many years out on the tour, former champion.
A three-time champion with the Lucas Oil ASCS National
The
Tour.
Crawdaddy.
It was good to see him in victory lane. Early in that race, Jordan Mallett led some laps. Looked like he might have a little speed there. Jordan Mallett's a really good race car driver. He typically runs that US CS down there, down south. He ran full-time with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour for a year or two. A really good race car driver, but then Tim Crawley took the lead from him. But then Brandon Anderson took the lead in the 55B car. And as he's trying to maneuver around a lap car, he knocks down his left front tire, and that takes him out of the race. He continues to run the race with a flat left front tire. And where did he end up running last night, Brandon Anderson?
He finished the race, did he not? Did he get to the checkered flag?
He ended up running 17th.
17th.
He started second, but he ended up running 17th. But he stayed out there.
He never dropped out.
He never dropped out with that left front tire.
Yeah, that caused him all kinds of problems. But that track took on a little bit of rubber last night.
It did, yeah. Tim Crawley said that as well. Blake Kahn has a 45-point lead over Wayne Johnson in the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour points. Here's the really cool thing about what's going on in the National Tour points right now. The top 6 guys are separated by 122 points.
Yeah.
Just think about that. So the guy, Matt Covington, who's running 6th right now in points, is 122 points. It would only take a couple bad nights for the leaders for him to take the lead in the points. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was good to see Wayne Johnson back in the saddle again last night after he pulled off the track at US 36 last Friday night, and he was injured. We didn't know what his status was going to be after that, but he got back in there, finished 7th last night.
He did. And Blake Kahn finished 1 spot ahead of him. But Wayne went to the hospital this week to have his back checked out. They must have found that there was nothing wrong with his back. And
That's good news.
And he's just dealing with a little bit of pain, but he had to suck it up last night because, listen, it pays $50,000 to win the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour Championship. So, he wants to be right in the middle of it. Again, as I mentioned, he's only 45 points out of the lead. Garrett Williamson. How about Garrett Williamson? 49 points out of the lead. Jason Martin, 54 points. Jason Martin is a rookie, by the way, running for Rookie of the Year and running for the national championship points. He's only 54 points out of the lead. Tim Crawley, 98 points out of the lead. And as I mentioned, Matt Covington, 122 points out.
Yeah, last week at US 36, all the top point getters had trouble.
Yeah.
Last week, and so it was good to see him get things headed in the right direction last night. We'll see what happens at I-30 Speedway tonight. Hammer Hill is where they'll be tonight.
And tonight's the second night for the All-Star Circuit of Champions. They're going to be running down at Lake Ozark Speedway. Listen, it's a nice little drive down to Lake Ozark Speedway. It doesn't take you long to get down there, a couple hours. If you're a really hardcore sprint car fan and you want to watch nothing but sprint cars tonight's a great night to go down and watch the races at Lake Ozark Speedway in Eldon, Missouri, because they're not only going to be they're going to run 305s. They're going to run traditional non-wing sprint cars as well. The war cars are going to be running down there. Where they have a couple of heat races of those last night, Kirk. Yeah. And then they're going to run the All-Star Circuit of Champions. So if you're a big sprint car fan, this is a great opportunity for you to go down to Lake Ozark Speedway in Eldon, Missouri, and check out the races tonight.
That's right. Hey, I want to mention, get back to the Lucas Oil ASCS tonight at I-30 Speedway. The race that was supposed to be on Thursday night at Tulsa, They got rain shower down there. They rescheduled that for Tuesday night at Tulsa Speedway. So they've added that back on the calendar. And then Caney Valley on Wednesday, Thursday at 81 Speedway, Creek County on Friday, Salina High Banks on Saturday, a week from tonight. And then they'll be at Lakeside Speedway on August the 2nd before they go to the 360 Nationals at Knoxville.
Speed Week, man, this is one of my favorite times to watch the national tour. It wasn't my favorite thing to run up and down the road doing those broadcasts during that week, though.
Well, that's hard on all the race teams, especially this hot weather. 100 degrees weather out there. These guys working on these race cars, getting them going every day. Not easy. Yeah. It didn't look like Tim Crawley. He was ready to get out of that fire suit last night after he crawled out of that car, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's going to be good watching the races down at I-30 tonight, down in Little Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be some good stuff. And then they're going to go back to Tulsa. That's not as easy a pull overnight as what you think it is. To leave Little Rock and then get back to Tulsa to run at Tulsa Speedway on Tuesday night. That's going to be a little tough on the team.
Well, you got a couple of days, don't you? In between?
Yeah, you do.
No races Sunday or Monday.
That's right, because they're taking off Sunday and Monday, so they do have a little bit of time to get back over there.
They can make that work.
Yeah, they can make it work.
So I was shocked it rained down in Tulsa the other night. I thought we were
of
in
all places
some kind of a
that
drought.
It rained. Tulsa's in a big drought down there, and the day they had the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour race down there at Tulsa Speedway.
2 minutes.
It pours.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm looking forward to getting up to I-80 Speedway tonight. Going to join Ryan up there and watch the race. It's been a while since I've been up to I-80, but looking forward to heading up there. And then tomorrow I'm going over to Iowa Speedway for the second of two races for the Indy cars. They got one race today and one race tomorrow, and I'm going to be over there tomorrow to check that out.
Are you going to go to the Blake Shelton concert?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll check
I
him
would
out.
go up there, just so you know, but I'm babysitting a dog right now.
Yeah.
My daughter's dog, Texas. I think he kind of likes you a little bit.
He's, this dog, Texas, is friends with everybody. He loves everybody.
He he doesn't like.
He wasn't friends with the tissue box yesterday.
Yeah, he snuck away with your.
I have a little tissue box right down here, and for somehow, that dog got that box and took it upstairs without me knowing it. How did it do that?
He waited for you to go in the bathroom.
I mean, I have no idea how that dog did that. It snuck right by me, dragged that tissue box upstairs, and destroyed it.
He's a friendly dog, though.
He's a good dog.
Yeah, he is. But anyway, tomorrow at Iowa Speedway, it's been a while since I've seen the IndyCar. I've been to IndyCar races at Iowa Speedway
Make
before.
it a dirt track, Kirk. Make Iowa Speedway a dirt track. Do you agree with me on that?
Sure.
You didn't agree with me in the beginning on that,
No,
did you?
but I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
That way you've got a permanent dirt facility. You don't have to reconfigure.
And it holds 30,000 fans. That's all you need.
Yeah, and it's great dirt. The quality of dirt up there is great. So I love that idea.
Yeah.
The IndyCar people probably wouldn't like it much unless you have an IndyCar race on dirt. Why not?
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Let's do that.
All right, hour number 2 coming up. You can watch it
25.
on our Facebook. You can watch it on Twitter. You can watch it on YouTube or RacingBoys.com. It's going to be Kirk and I. Hour number 2
15.
is a little bit different than hour number 1, so we hope that you'll join us. It's all been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. Thanks for tuning in right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Give a gift to the I Love Children's Mercy
Good
Fund
stuff,
now
guys.
through August
Thanks, my
8th
friend.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB Blue Mondays
Y'all have a good
to
one.
create
Yeah,
a
you
world of
too.
well-being
Thanks.
for all children, more life-changing research, and help create more solutions for everyday challenges so kids can be healthier and safer. Go to
Taking
810.
care of your car is a responsibility. It ensures the long life of your car and its expensive components. That's why Lucas Oil takes automotive protection so seriously. Lucas heavy-duty oil stabilizer bonds with motor oil to shield engines from heat and wear. So take pride in caring for your car and pass that pride and knowledge to the next generation for years of smooth, reliable driving on the long road ahead. Trust Lucas Oil. It works.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
At Lucas Oil, we take pride in creating problem-solving products to make your car care easier. We protect your vehicle and make it run longer so you can focus on the things that matter most. Whether it's commuting to work, visiting a loved one, taking the kids where they need to go, going to the big game, or anywhere life takes you, Lucas Oil is committed to getting you there for all of life's important moments. Lucas Oil, it works.
Here at Specialty Sportswear in-house, we do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works. There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Missouri's must play getaway. Osage National Golf Resort.
3 9-hole courses to choose from at the Lake of the Ozarks in the Osage River Valley. Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and if you're not listening to the Racing Boys, then you've got some sort of head problems. You gotta listen to the Racing Boys. Get her done!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Hour number 2, a little bit different than hour number 1. We like to hang out with our people on the chat room a little bit in hour number 2. So if you guys want to start throwing your comments up there. Dave Tyson said USAC is really lacking in leadership after Levi Jones left after last season. Has been pretty evident to the teams and the fans.
I would agree with that.
Why would you agree with that, Kirk? Tell me why.
Well, when Levi Jones was there running things, you didn't see the controversy around USAC that you used to see back in the old days. I mean, USAC's always been, charged with, being too political, and, there's always been a lot of controversial stuff that went around. When Levi Jones was running things over there, it was different. I think most of the time, now I'm not saying that they didn't have any kind of issues, but most of the time that Levi was there, he had this leadership quality that you didn't have all these kinds of issues that popped up.
Right.
And since he's been gone, it seems like it's kind of reverted back to the old days at USAC, or so it seems to me.
Yeah, Scott chimed in. He said, absolutely, USAC needs leadership.
Yeah.
Ken, he says that, how about Taylor Ferns at Winchester?
Third place.
Another podium after a crash in practice and then spinning in the feature and coming back to run third.
She did. Great job.
Wow, how about that?
Great job. But, nobody had anything for Cody Swanson in that race. What do you have, like a 10-second lead over Logan Seavey, who finished second in that race?
That Taylor, she's a pretty good racer.
Yeah.
She's pretty damn good.
That's not the first time she's finished up there.
But you know who I think is going to be the next breakout female racer?
And who would that be?
Jade Avedizian.
Sure. Why not?
I just got a feeling about her. Every time I watch her race, it seems like she's got it going on. And she's up there contending and pressuring some of the best USAC drivers there is. And I think she's got a chance to be the next female driver to make it to the Truck Series.
She's already got a big win.
Is she going to be better than Haley Deegan?
Oh, yeah, I think so. She's already got one major win on her resume, that $20,000 to win micro race at Sweet Springs here a few years ago. That was pretty awesome.
I got a runny nose for some reason. Anyway, Ken also, he chimed in and said, USAC, best racing in the world, worst sanctioning body in the world as well. So,
this is nothing new
really
with USAC.
They're really banging the USAC drum this morning.
This is nothing new with USAC.
Yeah.
So.
Chris Jantz just chiming in. Hey, Chris, how you doing? So, yeah, we'll just take your comments today. We're going to play an interview that I did with Ty Dillon in a little bit. Also, we've got an interview with Sean Niestead.
Great announcer. I'm telling you, I think you and I both agree. This guy is one of the great announcers in all the country.
He is.
Right now. He is the voice of Houston Speedway.
And his partner up there, that Austin Lloyd.
Great.
Very good combination.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Those two guys are as good as they are out there.
Well, you know what?
As good as there
you
is.
can when you've got the money like Todd Quering to go out and hire some of the best people in the business. That's what you get.
Well, Sean Neistat is a native from South Dakota.
Right, I know
he's
that,
from
yeah.
there. He announced at Houston Speedway a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he also works over there at Jackson Motorplex too. So he's been around quite a while.
Yeah.
And Austin Lloyd, who
very good pit reporter.
Those two guys are as good as there is out there.
Maybe, I'll say it right now, they might be the best local track combo in America.
Can't disagree with that at all.
I'm just saying.
I think you're right.
When you talk about the announcer and the pit reporter as a combo,
yes,
they might be the best.
And when you see the big touring series come into
Right.
Houston Speedway, they're part of the broadcast.
Right.
They're working with Johnny Gibson
Right.
and Chase Rodman, and when USAC comes in, they're a major part of that broadcast.
Yeah.
And they were the other night with the Lucas Oil Late Model Series when James Essex comes in. And James Essex is great, and he's one of my favorite announcers. But listening to James and Sean work together at that late model race the other night, that was a pure joy.
Hold on. Who's better, James or Sean? Sean.
They're both pretty good.
Sean's
They're
better.
both pretty good.
I like James, but he's been snubbing me, and I've reached out to him several times to be on Mostly Motorsports, and it's like we don't exist.
Well, I'll try to reach out to him tonight. I'll see him up there tonight and try to get his number. He seems like a good guy.
I'd love to have him on as a regular guest because, with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series and Lucas Oil being our title sponsor.
Ryan Ragland knows him pretty well.
It only makes good sense. All right, let's bring in Ryan Ragland. He's joining us from I-80. How you doing, Ryan?
Now I know what you always talked about, having the late nights and early mornings for broadcasts on Saturday when you're on the road.
But the one thing that you didn't do last night that I did after the races is have to drive 200 or 300 miles and then lay your head down.
No, I just had about 25 minutes to get to the hotel. So
Right. So,
but man, it took forever for me to unwind after last night.
That's the hard. People don't understand about what it takes traveling up and down the road. Everybody always said that, oh man, that must be a great life, just going to races for a living. Let me tell you something. It was hard work. You would have to go, because you're like a band, right? You go into a town, you set up, you put your wireless mics up, your mixers, you do all this stuff, your video, you make sure everything's working properly. You do your broadcast that night, then you tear down at the end of the night, and then you drive 200, 300 miles to the next city to do the next gig. And it just, at my old age, it was just too much for me.
Living like a gypsy.
Gypsy life, that's what it is.
You were the first one there, last one to leave.
Absolutely, every time.
Yeah, when you
Every
show up
time.
at these racetracks, you're there all day. You show
All
up like at
day, all
noon to
day.
get set up, and you're there for 12 hours. Or
You're
something
lucky
like
you're lucky to get something to eat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's
Right.
why when I had my broadcast, I would show up for the games like 2.5 hours ahead of time, just for the case that I had something go wrong or something didn't go right, and I had to go, get a part or something, which rarely happened.
Right.
But you have to do that in
Yeah.
order to make sure that everything is going to go the way you want
Well,
it to.
you know what we did? We carried all of our backup stuff, didn't we, Kurt?
Oh, yeah, you had to have redundancy.
You had to have a lot of backup stuff.
You almost planned on things not going well when you go
Right.
into setup. You just can't roll in a couple hours before the start of the race and set up and expect everything to go smooth. You got to get there around
you don't
noon,
have-
1 o'clock,
Yeah.
test it all
Yeah.
out, make sure it all works.
Yeah, if you don't have a spare, you're too short.
Right. So, hey, did you like that format last night? I didn't care much for it.
They've been running that for a few years, and I it's either or. I mean, some people like the like the time trials and everything else. With the way you guys were talking with doing the time trials and having your heats and everything else, for what they were trying to do, I could see it either way. I like this format just for the fact of kind of like what Marlar was talking about. You know, McCready, he had a win, so he could had a chance for the passing points, and Davenport was the same way. Marlar, he had a decent finish, and I'll tell you the guy that got shortened a little bit was Bobby Pierce. I think both of his finishes were seconds, or one was a second, one was a third, and he started, pretty decently back in both, had the passing points, but didn't get that finishing win.
Yeah, but he's still starting third though. That's right up there towards the front. Listen, he came from 20th the other night, right?
Yep.
And I'm telling you, he's my pick to win tonight. There's nobody I want to see win more than Mike Marlar, right? But Bobby Pierce is so good.
Put up there, and it has to be Pierce, and it has to be McCready.
Right.
Those are the two that have to be up there because, for whatever reason, I've mentioned it before. When a big money race comes up, you have to put McCready up there. Bobby Pierce hadn't. I think he said he'd been watching I-80 since about 2018. Didn't have his first until 19, and that's when he had that big lead on Davenport and had the motor go away. He hasn't ran there too many times, but every time he's been there, he's moved, he's been fast, and that track just suits him.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way you can't have Pierce in the top three.
And Jonathan Davenport, even though he's starting a little ways back, he's starting seventh in tonight's feature event. He certainly is going to be in the mix.
Yeah, him and McCready, during that interview that you played the first hour, him and McCready, and what I was alluding to, those two started in the last row of the last heat. And, I talked to a couple other people, and I thought, these two guys are just going to tag team, and one's going to follow the other, whoever that may be. McCready had a great drive getting through the field, which was one of the rarities that happened. The track kind of, I'm not going to say slicked off, but the tires just seemed to be wearing down a little bit. Davenport, it took a little bit for his car to come in, and I think he finished like 5th or 6th in his heat. But you put Davenport up toward the front, he's a past champion. He can drive low, he can drive high. It doesn't matter.
Right.
That's just what he does.
You got to keep. There's one other guy. There's a couple other guys that I'm going to talk about, but one of them that you really got to keep an eye on. He's starting on the 5th row outside. Is B-Shep, Brandon Sheppard. You never can count him out.
It was a couple of years ago. They had the 100 laps, and I remember looking at it. And it was 80 down and 20 to go. And Sheppard was like 3rd or 4th. I think it was Chad Simpson and someone else was up there. I think this was when Chase Younghands was on the pole, and he'd started up pretty well. But it was like 20 to go, and Sheppard just took off. It was like all of a sudden everything just started coming together. He, got by him with I think it was like 5 or 6 laps to go, and won the Silver Dollar Nationals. And I asked him about it. I go, 20 laps left, was the time to go? And he goes, yeah, it was pretty much at the right time. And the track just came right to him at the last part of it.
Right. I was going to mention one other guy that really knows his way around I-80. Johnny Scott's pretty damn good up there.
I'll tell you what, the Scott boys, they've been doing pretty well. I think it was Stormy that just came up with the win at Lucas Oil.
Johnny Scott.
That was Johnny.
Yeah. I keep trying to keep those two straightened out, but it's so hard to sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, coming off the win at Lucas Oil, and the way he's been running, they're strong. They're really coming into the late model world. And if I remember right, McCready finished second last year, and he said during the interview I did with him, if it was not for Johnny Scott for giving him an idea for an adjustment, that McCready would not have finished second. So now, if that gives you an idea of where Johnny Scott is in the late model world, that should say something to you.
All right, Chris Madden had a bad night last night after winning Thursday night's race. Last night he gets involved in a what turned out to be a 5-car pileup. But what's the status of his car? Lots of damage on that car. What's going on? Has he got a backup car? They're going to try to fix this one. What's going on with Chris Madden?
Yeah, they're going to bring the backup car. The way he hit, there was too much there from the last I heard. I was kind of surprised they didn't just nose and tail that car back to his pits the way that thing was going. That front end was not moving for anything.
Hey, did you notice how quick they covered up that car when it was coming down there?
Didn't take long. They didn't have it covered on the track, but man, when it got close to being in the pits, we're going to cover that back end up.
Right.
We need to keep what we're going.
Right. I thought that was funny because they were like in rush mode to get that done.
Yeah, it was like I said. When they were on the track, they were showing it. He's sitting there trying to steer it, and I mean, they got like within 12 feet of the pit road on the back stretch coming out too. We're going to cover it.
Right.
And he's got to come from the first B main. They're going to transfer 3 out of 3 B mains tonight. They've got him lined up on the inside of the 5th row of tonight's first B main. You got to finish in the top 3. So he's certainly not out of it. He's got a fast enough car. He could certainly get himself qualified into that A main last night. I doubt if he gets a provisional because he's not a regular runner with the Lucas Oil Late Model Series, but he can certainly find his way up from the back in an 80-lap race. I wouldn't count him out for a great finish tonight. What do you think?
Well, the reason he made the move that he did when he got into the back of the 7 car on the start was all the moves were early. I mean, the restarts were absolutely crazy. And if I remember right, I heard he was like 23rd in points after the first round. So he had to make a move to get up there to make sure he got the points that he needed. I'm not going to sell Madden short.
No.
My guess is he's going to make it through the B, and he'll be in the back. And if he gets the backup car going, it could be something fun to watch.
Well, it just makes it interesting just to see, with that happening to him, it makes the B mains all that more interesting now, just to see how far Madden can rally back from that.
Listen,
night.
That's a pretty tough B main that he's in too. Hudson O'Neal's in that B. Ryan Gustin's in that B. Chris Madden's in that B. I haven't seen much of it.
I'll tell you one guy you don't want to sleep on. That's Bill Layton Jr. in that 24 car.
Well,
he
that's
looked
true.
good up there. He's a local guy up there. He knows how to get around that racetrack.
Right.
You got to deal with Bill Layton Jr. in that race.
Right.
Jesse Sobbing is in that too.
Let me tell you, Ryan Gustin gets around I-80 pretty good. He's got some laps around there from his USMTS days.
That's going to be hard to do, but it's going to be interesting to watch just to see if Madden can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, Gustin's going to have to do some adjustments. He has not looked good. He in his first heat race, I'm trying to remember who he was next to, but it looked like he was getting up there for a nice solid 3rd place finish, and it just looked like the car would go away. Then he started toward the mid pack on his second heat, and he had McCready, he had Davenport. I'm thinking he had Owens. I can't remember. I don't have my sheet with me. But he had some pretty heavy hitters behind him in his second heat, and the car just wouldn't go. And I'm listening to the engines coming through, and it sounded like after the cars would settle, he just wasn't going to push it. He knew what he had and what he was going to get. Gustin's going to need. Maybe he needs to go back to his other wrap that he had. He has a different wrap this week that he's been running all year, but I don't know. I got to think he's going to probably go talk to Mark Richards down over in the Shepherd's pits and say, hey, dude, we need to, what do you think? Because something's going on here.
I'm sure those conversations are taking place. Hey, you look at some of these names and these other B mains. These are going to be really good B mains.
They're pretty stacked.
You got Shane Clanton starting on the pole of the second B main, and you look at that third B main, Tyler Erb, last year's winner, Kyle Bronson. We'll all have to come out of that race. I mean, there's going to be some pretty good action in all three of those B mains.
I noticed Aaron Morant's up there. He must be driving the Bob Morton car up there, right? From Richmond, Missouri, the 1X car.
I don't know.
I believe that's who Aaron Morant's running in that second B main.
Former modified standout here in the Kansas City area, been running late models now.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you the one thing that was interesting, and it was I was going to ask about it, but I didn't after the incident. Was John Anderson after he got messed up in that Madden wreck, was him, and I talked about it last year. Terry Phillips and John Anderson running side by side in one of the Bs last year. Those two guys were in one of the heats last night, and Phillips got inside Anderson. Anderson comes down into one. I don't know if he thought he was going to be able to beat Phillips there, or Phillips went in just a little bit deeper. But man, those two had some pretty heavy contact.
I saw that.
And I just kind of chuckled, looked over at the guy, and said,
"Yeah,
that's not the first time that's happened."
Yeah, that was pretty heavy hit down there too. Dusty Leonard was John. You talk about John Anderson. Dusty Leonard's car ended up on top of his car, sitting down there in that Madden wreck last night.
Right.
Yeah, he just drove right underneath him. And Anderson was just kind of victim of circumstance, and he just kind of slid it right underneath it, which was kind of strange, but that was a crazy one for sure.
Yeah.
And Anderson had to stay in the car until they got the car removed, and then after they got it moved over, he just pops right out, no problem.
Hey, Ryan, is there any chance that we could have you check in with us on Monday on Mostly Motorsports during your lunch break or something?
Always.
All right, cool. All right.
Great job up there. We played those interviews. Where did you do those interviews at? Sound like it was was that in Victory Circle? You did
Kirk, they were having
That's a party. Dude, they got a party going on there on Saturday, Friday night.
Hold on. Let me just tell you what Kirk said before we went on the air. He said he must have went to a bar and did this.
That's what it sounded like.
It wasn't a bar. It was that was a festive atmosphere up there, and that was everybody. There's no way that he that was at a bar.
Yeah, but when Jonathan Davenport's yucking it up with Tim McCready down there, that's odd.
Kirk, just think through your process a little bit more on this. Those guys have to work on their race cars after the races. Do you think they're at a bar?
Yeah,
no, but
let me set this up for you. They have a band that's on the backstretch side of the pits after Friday night.
Okay.
And this band was playing classic rock. In fact, when I came by, they were playing my favorite group, Night Rangers. So I'm sitting there throwing the horns up at them. And
you are old.
I get done doing Mike Marlar, great guy, and I go over and I get with McCready. McCready starts doing the interview. Davenport, we get started, and then you hear Davenport saying, "Yeah, he does a better interview after he's had a couple of these." Well, yeah, he's bringing out a Solo cup with a nice adult beverage, and I'm just like, this is absolutely frickin' money.
Right.
And then I sent the audio to Kirk, and I called him. And Kirk, by the way, awesome edit on that interview. That was perfect. I couldn't even tell. And I called Kirk, and I said, "Hey, Kirk, yeah, you're going to need to do a bleep over that." Davenport dropped a bomb on in one of the comments. He goes, "All right, yeah, I'll get that taken care of." So I'm sitting there listening to it, and I'm going back to everything in my head. And I mean, Kirk just did a money edit on that. It was so perfect. But
we were playing it on 810. We had to edit that out.
Yeah, it was so McCready and Davenport.
Right.
With the way those two guys are, because.
Well, we can play
they're going to have teammates and stuff, but these guys are like unofficial teammates.
We could play that in its entirety on Monday.
Well, it sounded like you were at a party there, doing those interviews. But it was great. Great job. Great job.
He just swore that you were at a bar. That's how Kirk thinks. He thinks that you were at a bar, not realizing that those guys have to work on those race cars after that race, and there's no
I know,
way.
but it sounded like they were having a good time wherever they were at.
They weren't at a bar, though.
Oh,
that's the last place that they would be after a race is at a bar.
Yeah,
right.
I'm just saying what it sounded like. That's all.
The only thing I wish I would have done, just comically, would have gone, well, hell, if you two guys are going to have one, we might as well have a threesome on this interview and do it the right way with 3 solo cups.
Right.
That's
but
what
it was. Yeah, and knowing Davenport, the times that I've talked to him and everything, he probably would have yelled back and said, "Hey, one more, bring it out here." And we're at McCready's trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Davenport's probably, he was probably like 6 or 7 trailers over, but those two guys are a hoot together.
Yeah. Ryan, we appreciate all the work you've done for us up there,
See you up
buddy.
there tonight.
We'll talk to you on Monday, okay?
Sounds good. Give me a text or a call when you get up there.
I
Kurt.
will. I will do it. Can't wait.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Take care.
Great
By
job.
the way, real quick.
Yeah.
I got to throw this in. Very reliable sources. I-80 is not sold yet. The future on I-80 is not determined.
Okay.
I've heard rumors upon rumors. I even heard rumor one yesterday as far as saying that there's a conglomerate of people trying to save the track.
Oh, that'd be great news. That happened.
Ben Shelton, I talked to him, and I'm going to get an interview with him today. Ben Shelton said he's doing an interview with Joe Kosiski today, and he's just going to come straight out and ask him what's going on.
Well, all we've got to
That's going
do
be on their broadcast tonight.
all we've got to do is get Joe on, and he'll tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe is a great guy.
We got to
He
save
is
that
absolutely
rack
phenomenal.
up there. We got to
Yeah.
save it.
Ryan, thanks so much. We appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you. Great
Thanks, guys.
news.
All right, there you have it. Ryan Ragland helping us out up at I-80, doing some reporting up there for us.
That'd be
getting some
great
sound.
news if we could
Oh, that would be the
save
best news.
I-80 and
Yeah.
Silver Dollar Nationals would move on, even if the Kosiskis, don't run it full time. Even if they were just consulting or something, even just this event.
Yeah.
That would
All
that
right.
would be great.
So, Jim, he said it was interesting to watch sprint cars at Sweet Springs last Sunday, like watching jets in a gymnasium.
I was over there for that. They don't have a lot of room
You're
there
not-
at Sweet Springs.
you're-
Not a lot of room
You're
for
not
sprint
going to
cars.
like what I got to say. The
Yeah.
fence is too short for sprint cars
Well,
at
it's-
Sweet Springs.
how's that different than Valley Speedway?
Valley, though their fence probably isn't connected and tied in as good as Sweet Springs, it wouldn't take nothing to wheel hop a car right over that fence on the front straightaway at Sweet Springs.
And you had people sitting in lawn chairs in front of the grandstand. At
I'm
Sweet
just
Springs
telling
the other
you,
night.
I cringed when I saw how low that fence was on the front straightaway.
I stood right down there, and I didn't cringe watching it around there. I wasn't worried about it. I was there.
Because you were oblivious to it, Kurt.
I didn't think about cars flying over the fence at Sweet Springs while I was there.
That fence isn't nearly tall enough for sprint cars.
Well, I was at Valley Speedway last Saturday night, sitting in the crowd, and I'm frankly more concerned about that fence than I am the one at Sweet Springs. But they race sprint cars all the time at Valley
The
Speedway.
one thing I don't like about the fence at Sweet Springs also, it's made out of, it looks like angle iron, and when it comes up to the top, it points out. And dare I say, that looks like a shish kebab waiting to stick somebody.
I saw an incident at Oskaloosa, Southern Iowa Speedway, back in 2003.
I know you did.
Where the bracing of the fence was on the track side, and that didn't work out very well. I won't get into the details of what happened, but
the guy
driver lost his life that night.
Right.
So.
And you said that was one of the most surreal.
It is the worst thing I've ever witnessed in racing in my entire life. At Oskaloosa,
No
2000,
kidding.
involving Keith Hatton. Worst thing I've ever seen or hoped.
And he had,
I ever seen.
and Keith hadn't drove in a while, and he was kind of coming out of retirement a little bit
Yeah.
there, wasn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
And they finished the race that night.
Oh, my God.
They finished it. They didn't call it off.
Oh, my God. It was horrible. And they were saying prayer on the PA. And
it was crazy. You know, I wanted to just get up and leave.
But you
and
felt
then I
like
decided
you had to
stay
there?
Well, because everybody else that was in, and it was a packed grandstand that night, I think felt the same way I did. We all wanted to leave, but we all felt comfort being together because we all witnessed the same thing. So it was really a weird night up there.
Yeah.
But that fencing, and they've changed it since then at Oskaloosa. It's
Right.
lots better than it was, but the bracing of the fence was on the track side, and you know, I won't go into what happened that night, but it wasn't good.
They didn't remove him from the car.
Well, that was one of those incidents where everybody knew
What
that
happened.
we had a fatality on
Right.
our hands. Everybody knew that.
Everybody knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Horrible. That was terrible. Where do we go next, Kirk? Do we do the Ty Dillon now?
Nah, let's do him last. Let's run that. What's
Sean Niestep?
There
Oh,
you
Sean
go.
Niestep. Yeah.
The voice of Houston Speedway we were talking about, one of the great announcers.
He is
that
one of the best.
You and I both agree that there is out in the country. You had him on the show on Tuesday, which was the same day they raced the Lucas Oil late models up at Houston Speedway.
Right.
And Sean Niestep talked about Houston Speedway and Jackson and how Houston's came back from the dead, and that a little bit about his history. Here's a portion of that conversation that Scott Traylor had with Sean Niestep on Mostly Motorsports from earlier this week.
Todd Quering has really invested in motorsports, and people need to be thankful for that, don't they?
Absolutely. He didn't have to do what he did.
Right.
He had Jackson, and Jackson is a fantastic place, and he puts on the Jackson Nationals, which are becoming a crown jewel event again in the 410 sprint car world. And he didn't have to come over to Houston Speedway.
Right.
He could have said, let the place sit, let it go, and Jackson will become the lead racetrack in our region. And instead, he made the investment, and he came in, got Houston Speedway going, and he didn't have to come back to weekly racing.
Right.
People said he was crazy when they announced in 2021, last year, we were going to go back to weekly racing on Sunday nights with 410 sprint cars. People, the immediate reaction was, great, where are the cars going to come from? Because all of the local teams had sold, almost all of the local teams had sold their 410 engines because all we had going for sprint car racing at the time in the area were the IMCA sprint cars and our MSTS 360 sprint car tour throughout the region. So why have a 410 sprint car sitting, or a 410 engine sitting in your shop?
Right.
But they came back, they put together a weekly package payout, a points payout, that structure that worked and got the attention of drivers, and boom, here we had teams right away. We had 1 week in 2021 where I think the car count, I think we had 16, and all of a sudden everybody acted like the sky was falling, and it was like, hold on, guys.
Right.
If we've got 16 410 sprint cars, compared to the rest of the world, we're sitting pretty good here because
That's
there's not
true.
a lot of places you can go see 16 410 sprint cars. And then the next week we had 25, and it was like, okay, everyone relax.
Right.
And so, to see how successful the weekly shows have been again this year, everybody this last week, the Kings Royal was going on, and we had just had the High Bank Nationals here, and everyone's gearing up for Knoxville, and everyone was, kind of, are we going to have any cars tonight? Are we going to be low on cars? We had 23 410 sprint cars show up this last Sunday night. So where else can you go, outside of the big ones like Knoxville, where, Knoxville's Knoxville, but where else are you going to go and see that kind of quality racing, that kind of quality cars on a weekly basis? It's incredible what we're experiencing here now in Brandon, South Dakota.
Well, let me tell you something. You got a nice point battle going on up there with the 410 sprint cars. Matt Jules leading the Justin Henderson by 5 points. Austin McCarl is 10 points behind. Brooke Tacknell is 25 points behind. Jack Dover, 29 points behind. That's a hell of a point race up there.
Sounds fun, doesn't it? We've only got 5 points races left for our 410 sprints, so it's going to come down to the wire here. It did last year, too. You know, Henderson got out front last year in the points and never really gave it up, but he had Carson McCarl and Jack Dover breathing down his neck all year, and he had led talking about Henderson, he had led the points pretty much all year this year. Had a little struggle in his heat race this past week, and boom, Matt Jewell right there capitalizes, goes out front. So, handful of races to go this year. It's going to be fun to watch.
You know, it's such a unique situation for people that want to run 410 sprint cars in that area, right? They run on Jackson Friday night, Knoxville Saturday night, and Huset's on Sunday. That's a nice combination of 3 tracks to run, right?
It really is, but Jackson doesn't run 410s all that often throughout the year. We had a special over there a couple of weeks ago. Earlier this month, the weekend before the High Bank Nationals, teamed up with NOSA out of North Dakota and ran there Friday and Saturday.
Oh, I see.
But there's only a couple 410 races a year at Jackson. Of course, they'll have the Jackson Nationals coming up in August, which is, you know, just kind of a whole different ballgame with the World of Outlaws. So you actually have a lot of teams in our area. We'll run Friday night up in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and a lot of people, I think, around the country go, oh, well, Grand Forks, North Dakota, Brandon, South Dakota, Dakota, they got to be pretty close together. But it's like a 5-hour jaunt between Grand Forks and Brandon. If you're you know, really cruising along, if you're pulling a trailer, it's probably more than that. And then to get down to Knoxville, if you're going to do that on Saturdays, is another 5 hours. So,
right.
There's a lot of miles put on by these teams if they want to run 3 nights a week. A lot of them are running 2. You know, they'll either run Grand Forks Friday and then Huset Sunday, or Knoxville Saturday and Huset Sunday. But it's not easy to get around this part of the country. Like, you know, Pennsylvania is really blessed. They've got some racetracks within a couple hours of each other. We just don't have that here. But yet our teams are doing it. And, you know, we're blessed to be between Knoxville and Grand Forks and be able to share cars between those 3 tracks.
Yeah, Sean Neistat, the voice of Huset Speedway. And, you know, I didn't think about how many miles there are between North Dakota and Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I know it's quite a ways, 5 hours between Knoxville and Sioux Falls. So
only 80 miles between Jackson and Huset's.
Yeah, I just kind of figured that, you know, Friday night with 4, and I was just as surprised as you were that they didn't run 410s.
I thought they ran them there weekly.
I did too.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah.
But Jackson and Huset's is not that far apart from each other.
Right.
That was kind of a nice triangle. Jackson on Friday and Huset's on Sunday, with Knoxville in the middle on Saturday.
But originally, I think they ran 410s weekly up there.
I thought they did.
Yeah.
But he said it's been before 2016 when they did that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Jackson, I'm glad to see the Jackson Nationals is going back to its old traditional date of the week after the Knoxville Nationals. Back 40, 50 years ago, they had the Jackson Nationals, one of the big races back then. That was always the week after Knoxville. It's coming back to that. I like that, you know, where they go from Knoxville to Jackson.
Kirk, I was listening to comments by Kenny Wallace yesterday. I want to get your thoughts on this. He was talking about tracks canceling because of the heat. And I'm totally in line with Kenny Wallace on this.
What did he say? I didn't hear it.
He said that why would you want a track promoter to promote a race where only 300 people would show up in the grandstands? You know, he said that on their weekly show there at Peevely, he said they get about 600 people there. And why would you expect a promoter to lose money knowing that the fans are not going to show up when it's 100 degrees? It's better. I think you're better off just calling it a day, not running the show. Let the drivers save their equipment. I just think it's I think it's a no-brainer sometimes when it's so hot out. You know the fans. How long have we been saying this on Mostly Motorsports, Kurt? The heat of the summers when fans don't go, right?
Yeah. That's why they count so much on the early part of the season.
The spring and the fall.
Spring and the fall, especially the spring.
Mm-hmm.
They count on good weather and bigger crowds than they get the rest of the year in April or May especially. Because when it does get into the heat of the season, and here's a prime example of that. I tuned into Lakeside Speedway last night, and there's no doubt the crowd was off. The car count was down. It was hot.
Yeah.
You know, it was hot.
Hold on. You brought it up, Kirk. I didn't. 7 A mods, 12 B mods, 14 E mods last night.
Yeah, I saw somebody on Facebook we all know had said, man, I would hate to be a promoter right now at this time of the year.
Well, it's the worst time of the year to be a promoter.
They didn't make any money out there last night.
You might almost be better off just not racing.
Yeah.
When it's this hot out, like last night, they probably should have canceled the races.
And you know as well as I do about how much it takes just to fire that track up electrically, getting everything going.
Plus the purse.
So you're down and out already. So and nobody's comfortable, right? So everybody's on edge from immediate. You know how that is. Nobody's happy.
Sure.
The only people that are happy are the kids. The little kids are the only ones that are happy.
I'm just going to say it. They need to drop the A mods. Just get rid of them.
I think they could have it as a
7 A mods. Who wants to watch 7 cars? It's like watching the Grand Nationals race out there.
Yeah, if you're
the
down
Grand Nationals had 6 or 7 cars at their best. Yeah. Who wants to watch 7 cars race?
And
take that money and do something else with it. Disperse it over the B mods and the E mods, or do whatever. Get rid of the A mods, bring in ULMA late models. I don't know what you need to do. But it's a waste of time right now to run the A mods, in my eyes, at Lakeside. As much as that pains me to say, because I love A mod racing, but the price of modified, and to be honest with you, B mods are getting too expensive.
That's what I was just going to say. B mods.
B mods are getting to the point now to where guys are buying top flight cars and they're running them in B mods. So I'm just saying, I hate to say that the E mods might be the future of modified racing, but that could be the case.
Yeah, and one of the top runners in the A-Mod class last night, Tyler Hibner, had trouble. He had to drop out. Nick Benninger just walked away from the start of that race. And
you watched it last night?
Yeah, watched on.
Your nephew wasn't there, was he?
He didn't come down last night. I didn't talk to Dennis why he
Too
wasn't
hot.
there last night.
It was probably too hot,
Too
Kirk.
hot, man.
Maybe he was too hot.
I'm
I don't know.
telling you right now that you know as well as I do, it plays effect, and man, people were kind of reporting
But
that
if you're running for points,
you have to go. You know, I completely understand. Yeah, you've got to have you're all in, right?
Right.
So.
But you looked down at Humboldt last night. They had 12 B mods at Humboldt last night.
They don't run A mods down there, do they?
They did have A mods.
How many?
Last night, and they had it looks like 15 A mods. At
If you can pull 15, you're doing all right.
Well, they're doing better down there.
Yeah.
You know what? Rural areas do better with car counts.
Yep.
Because here's the thing: there's not a lot of options when you live in a rural area.
Yes.
Forms of entertainment.
That's right.
The fans show up a little bit more, and there's not as many options for the racers that want to race down in that area,
Yep.
right?
So you're all there and you're in.
Tyler Davis won the A-Mod feature at Humboldt, and it was Brian McGowan winning the B-Mod. Now, at Lakeside last night, the best race of the night was in the B-Mod class, where Shadron Turner was battling with Mark Chapman. Those two guys went at it. Pretty good battle for the win last night. Shadron Turner came out on top.
That kid there, man, we interviewed him way back in the day for a little segment, but, you know, he's endorsed from the 54th Street Grill.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, he gives away.
How do you get on that plan?
I don't know, but he's been on from
they
the beginning.
must be getting free food because, you know, Chris Parkinson's got them on his car, too.
And, you know, they give out the free guac dip when he hands out the cards in the pit. So, like.
I want Anatub Taco to sponsor
There
me.
you go. But that Shadron, I'm telling you, that's somebody, he's won way more. His name's been mentioned way more than anybody in the local area right here. That kid, he's tough to get beat. So number 54, he's a wheeler, young kid too, very young.
Yeah, Kirk, you want to set up this Ty Dillon?
Yeah, Ty Dillon is, of course, big news this last week. There was an announcement that he was leaving GMS Petty Racing. What's he going to do in 2023? Well, that's an open question right now, but Scott Traylor spoke with Ty Dillon about his racing on Mostly Motorsports earlier this week, and here is that conversation.
Joining us now on the show is Cup Series driver Ty Dillon. He joins us now on the show. Ty, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Hey, man, I know it's been a trying time for you here as of lately, but I want to talk about, before we get into what could happen for you in the future, let's talk about your race out at Kansas Speedway. You had a good run out there at Kansas Speedway, 17th.
Yeah, that was, one of our better runs we've had this year, just overall good performance out of the car, and felt very confident. And, we really worked hard going into that race on our 1.5 mile program and showed improvement. The schedule since then, we haven't really had too many 1.5 miles post that race. So, I think looking forward to getting back to some of these bigger tracks, see how much we've progressed since then as a team and driver. And, Kansas, like I said, hasn't always been one of my better tracks, but to have a good run there was really good for us.
Yeah, it seems like the intermediate tracks are a little bit better to you. Do you feel like the 1.5 mile tracks, I noticed that Atlanta, you had a 23rd place finish. That was a pretty decent finish considering all the things that went on there at Atlanta. What do you feel like is your best track for you as a driver?
I think personally I enjoy short tracks and road courses the most.
Yeah.
I've had good success at the 1.5 miles. I think probably statistically I've ran better at 1.5 miles, but I wouldn't say that, I feel like we've been as strong at those throughout my career. I'm not particular to any style racetrack. I enjoy the challenges of each week doing something different. So as long as we're not doing the same tracks over and over each week, that's the only thing that bothers me about our schedule is if we go to 3 or 4 1.5 miles in a row.
Yeah.
Which NASCAR's done a really good job of changing the schedule over the last couple of years, where we're constantly moving and doing different things, and that makes it really exciting for a driver.
Yeah, tough weekend last weekend at New Hampshire. You ran 35th. Had problems early in that race.
Yeah, we pretty much got crashed at lap 5. The 31 was on the outside of us. We didn't have the qualifying run that we wanted to, but we were coming up to the field pretty quickly already, and was running the bottom, kind of the yellow line, the apron of the track was really good for me in the Xfinity race, and we were able to end up finishing 6th there. And so early on was running that line, and the 31 kind of came from the very top line all the way down to my bottom line on exit and hit me in the right front and spun me out. And I think the 48 kind of caught me in the right rear while I was spinning and put his head on the wall, so the car was not going to continue. And, it was really unfortunate because I felt like we were going to have a strong day. Loudon's one of my favorite tracks to go to. Feel very confident racing there. And, just a bummer into that weekend. That was, obviously full of a lot of different things for me. And we were all hoping to have a good, strong run, and it just didn't work out. But we're looking forward to going to Pocono and having a good run there.
I know it's pretty sad news. I don't know if it's sad or if you're happy, but I know that you're splitting ways with Petty GMS. That's got to be tough, right? I mean, you're in this new ride and you're looking forward to long-term success there. Talk about how that all transpired there a little bit for us, would you?
Yeah, anytime a new relationship ends soon, it's always disappointing, right? But I think for both parties, it's both parties are excited going forward for the future, and we want to give each other the best we can the rest of the way out to help everything going forward for both sides. When I signed up with him, my goals were set to be there long term for a long time and retire with him, the same way I felt about Germain Racing. But sometimes things don't work out. There's different factors that come into play, and you always try to look at yourself in situations, that don't last. But, I think it just wasn't meant to be this go around. And I'm certainly excited for the next possibilities of what's coming up in my career, and just having fun and being with a team that's excited for me, and going out and having a chance to really win races.
Do you feel the chemistry wasn't there from the beginning, or do you feel it kind of fell apart as time went on?
Yeah, I think it's not really worth going into that.
Yeah,
it's been announced that the team and I are going different ways, and I think anything that happens within an organization should stay in the organization, stay between myself. So, we all had sights set on being together for a long time, and it didn't play out for both sides and both parties, and I think both of us are in a very comfortable agreement that we want the best for each other going forward. So,
right.
Like I said, I'm excited for what's next and giving it my all for the rest of this year and do the best I can.
You think there's any possibility that you could end up back in the 8 car? You think there's any chance of that?
I'm certainly a free agent, so all the cars that are available, I'm looking to do what I can. I believe I'm one of the best 36 drivers in the sport, and can get the job done at the Cup level. But right now, I really just want to get to winning. I've been in the Cup Series for 6 years, and my last win was in the Xfinity Series about 6.5, 7 years ago. So to me, I just want to get back to the reason I do what I do, the reason I love this sport, put so much effort and time into it, and that's winning and having fun. So things got to line up good for me to make a right choice this time. I bounced around for the last 3 or 4 years, and I just need a home and a place to believe in me and to give it the proper timing and momentum to really actually work out.
Yeah, we're visiting NASCAR Cup Series driver Ty Dillon. And don't you feel like, and I feel this way, that NASCAR is kind of making a comeback in the last couple of years, that the fans are starting to come back? And I think that has a lot to do with some of the drivers that are running there. Obviously, Kyle Larson, a lot of the dirt track people. But you've had a pretty good dirt background yourself. I watched you race down at Volusia before. Are you still doing a little bit of the dirt track racing?
I haven't done it much in the last 7 or 8 years. Obviously, I have a large dirt background. I don't think it wasn't the vogue thing or cool thing to really talk about when I was running dirt racing. So, I'm not seen as one of those guys, but now you have the Larsons that are praised for being good dirt racers. And we go to Bristol Dirt this year and we run right there with them and outrun them in the heat race. And I think we would have had a shot to race them for a win in Bristol, and people were quite surprised. But it was my brother and I were very successful in dirt, which is a long time ago now, 10 or so years ago. And I think it's really good. I think the fans are showing up and they're excited about the new car. They're excited about the direction of NASCAR, the new tracks, and we're doing great things to spur excitement. And I think it's on the driver's part too to carry that torch and be good personalities and show your personality and continue to put on good racing, which that's been happening all year.
Didn't you win a truck race out at Kansas Speedway?
And I did win a Kansas. I think I did. I know I won an ARCA race for sure.
Maybe it was ARCA I'm thinking of. Yeah. Well,
I think trucks, they went to Atlanta, Texas, and there was one more I can't remember.
Yeah, well,
maybe Kentucky.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you know, but Clint Boyer. You remember when Clint Boyer drove that ARCA car down at Nashville Superspeedway when your grandpa hired him right after he ran that race down there and he runs second? I owned that race car. That was my ARCA team at the time, and it was only our second team as a race team. It was only our second race as a team. I drove it the first race at Kansas Speedway, qualified 11th. And then Boyer qualified 7th, led 47 laps, lost the lead with 9 laps to go, and run second in that race. And I'll never forget the day that you won that ARCA race. Your grandpa, he come over and I told him the story about it, and he goes, "Clint Boyer owes you everything." And it was it was so funny because a lot of people have told me that over the years, but when your grandpa said it, it resonated with me. It was like, all right. Maybe this is real. Your grandpa is one of the coolest cats, isn't he?
He really is. As I get older and I'm paying a lot more attention to business and my own personal business, of being a driver and everything that comes with that. Just seeing the man he is, the way that he honors his relationships and is, stands by his word. I think over the last couple of years, I've learned how inconsistent that can be across anything, other teams, sports, and I think that's why he's been successful on his own pocket. A lot of these team owners are,
right.
They run teams based off of their outside businesses, and that kind of keeps them afloat. But he's the only one left that started with a $20 bill to buy a taxi cab, and is still doing great at the level he's at now. So I think his honor as a man, his loyalty is second to none. There's only a few teams that I've been in contact that treat people as good as my grandfather, and I think that's why he's been long-term successful and will always be that way. So that's probably been the greatest thing that I've learned. People always ask me what he's taught you as far as a driver, but I think just the man he is the most important thing that I've learned that's helped my career.
What do you think is the number one thing that your grandfather has taught you as a life lesson? Is there one thing that really stands out more than anything else?
I think it's just that. I think what I said about him just being loyal and his honor as a man and the way he runs his company and takes care of his people. He is a vision of loyalty in our sport, and people enjoy that. People trust that, and I think you know what you're getting when you're doing business with Richard Childress, and he expects you to honor your word as much as he's going to honor his. So I think that's what I've learned the most from him about.
It was an interesting conversation with Ty Dillon that we had this week on Mostly Motorsports. Again, Mostly Motorsports airs Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time. You can watch it right here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or racingboys.com. Airs every day, 12 noon Central Time. Gets a little interesting over there once in a while, doesn't it, Kurt?
It does. I'm just thinking about loyalty and RC and the way he treats people, the way Ty Dillon was describing his grandfather there. That hits home with you and me. We love that, don't we?
Right. Well, that's a big part of what our relationship is all about loyalty.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Has been since the beginning. Right.
Busy day at Pocono today. The truck race will be at 11 o'clock Central Time on Fox, the big network. The Cup Series is going to be qualifying at 2:20 this afternoon after a few minutes of practice. And then the Xfinity Series at 4 o'clock this afternoon. You can watch that on USA Network. And the Cup Series at Pocono tomorrow on the USA Network, too. And that starts at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Seems like NBC, that all these races are on USA Network. Are there any of these races on
I
NBC?
Don't know. Does everybody have USA Network?
Almost everybody, if you have cable.
Does basic cable have USA?
Yeah, that rolls on basics. But I'm like Kirk, there's only been, I don't know if it's because of college stuff and
I don't know.
And golf, but there has not been a lot on the three big channels like we used to have.
Right. Yeah.
And did you notice Rick Allen, the voice of the NBC, he wasn't even there at New Hampshire last week. Dale Jr. and Jeff Burt, they were calling the races.
What do you think of Jr. doing the broadcast? He was the lead.
He did fine.
I like Junior's fine. Some guys I don't like. Junior doesn't try to have a stick, right? He just kind of just is who he is.
He is who he is.
That's his stick. He's just
trying to be honest with himself.
Right.
Yeah.
He is an honest guy.
I mean, he's not coming in there with one-liners or anything, and I kind of enjoy that more than a made-up thing. But like I said, everybody has their own.
Kelly said today's economy is killing weekly racing. Eagle, Nebraska is the only exception.
Yeah, they seem to be doing pretty well.
Greg said that. It wasn't Kelly.
Yeah, they race every Saturday. We get the results from Eagle Raceway every week, post them on Race Boys. Car counts up there look pretty solid up there.
Yeah.
I think Lucas Oil Speedway is doing pretty well.
The racing doesn't get any better than Eagle, Nebraska.
That's a great race. But they don't have any major events there anymore.
I know.
Except that the 305 Nationals.
They don't have the Outlaws don't go there anymore either.
Yeah, but none of the big series go to, and it's a great facility.
No, I know it.
So
Roger just doesn't want to promote those big money races, I guess. Yeah.
Hey, I was going to ask you, what did you think of Christopher Bell winning the Cup race, his first Cup race?
I loved it.
The playoffs.
Yeah, I'm happy for him.
He dominated. Once he got out in front, he checked out.
He was done.
All those other guys came in and changed, instead of changing all 4 tires, they just changed 2 tires. Truex dominated that race. They come in, they only changed 2 tires, and it killed those guys.
Yeah. So many of them that put the 2 tires on said their cars were junk after they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all second-guessing themselves now, aren't
for
they?
sure. Yeah. What are you going to watch tonight, Kirk? You're going up to I-80, aren't
I'm
you?
going to be right there at I-80 Speedway watching the late models up there, and then tomorrow heading over to Iowa Speedway for the Indy cars.
Well, let's just take a look and see what's going on tonight so people can have an idea what's happening tonight on Flow Racing. You've got the Lucas Oil Silver Dollar Nationals at I-80. You got the
Tezos All-Stars.
I got Tezos.
Tezos.
I don't know why.
How you say that?
I don't know. Tezos. All-Star Circuit of Champions down at Lake Ozark Speedway tonight as well. You got non-wing nationals at Port City going on. What else you got? Got USAC Indiana Sprint Week at Kokomo Speedway tonight. This is just a few of the races that I'm reading off here.
Indiana Sprint Week, can't miss that.
Indiana
Sprint Week, Kokomo.
Can't miss that. That's a good one. And then I'm looking down the line here at some of the other races.
Boy, they got a lot of stuff on the calendar.
Oh, my gosh. I can't believe how many races.
Man, just everybody.
It's crazy.
Bridgeport Motorsports Park, Fonda, Atomic Speedway, late model racing at Florence Speedway.
Right.
Wow.
A lot of good stuff going on. And then over on Dirt Vision tonight, let me pull that up real quick.
Williams Grove tonight, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Summer Nationals finale.
Williams Grove tonight. And also Hell Tour continues at Merritt Speedway. Knoxville's going to be on tonight. Then tomorrow night you can watch Huset's on Dirt Vision. So a lot of good options there.
And our buddies over at Racing Dirt.
What are they doing tonight?
I think they got some action tonight. I talked to Austin the other day. They got 8 events, but he's working out of the house this weekend.
Austin is? Stick?
Yeah. Let's see what they got going on tonight.
Well, they've got Arms Creek County Speedway going on tonight.
The ARMS Series, American Racer Modified Series at Creek County Speedway.
What else they got going on tonight? Doesn't look like much over there at Racing Dirt tonight.
They got weekly racing at
Deer Creek
Speedway. The Elite Non-Wing, the ASCS Elite Non-Wing Series at Lawton Speedway tonight.
United Rebel Sprint Car Series at Dodge City.
Yep. They were there last night.
Yeah.
So that's what they got going on. So there you go. If you want to stay out of the heat and
you know where I'll be.
I recommend going to the racetrack.
You know where
it's
I'll
always
be.
Better being there.
You know where I'll be.
You're going to go to Lake Ozark?
No, I'm going to be right here watching these TVs.
Yeah, I thought maybe you might drive down to Lake Ozark Speedway tonight.
No, because I don't want to have to. I don't have a room lined up. I don't want to take the motorhome down there.
Yeah,
you know, it probably cost me $500 in fuel to run the motorhome down there.
Yeah, boy, that's diesel fuel.
Right. You know, Dieter and I were talking about going on a float trip with Blake Hahn, with Matt and Ashley Ward, and it was down in the same place that we always go to. And I just told her, I said,
this weekend?
No, not this weekend. In a few weeks. Yeah. I said, I'm not going to buy the diesel fuel to go down there and back. It's too much. It costs $500 in fuel to go down there and back.
You're going to take this rig up to Knoxville, aren't you?
I'm going to take it up to Knoxville, and that's where I'm going to be living up there. I'm going to work out of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum up there. Boy, they got a great track tribute going on right now up there. It's going to be going on through October 1st with the Ascot Park that was in Gardena, California. You need to get up there and see it. They got all kinds of memorabilia, cars, and everything. It is a great exhibit, folks. So get up there before October 1st and check out the Ascot Park tribute that they have up there. I can't wait to get up there and see it myself. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's coming up close. So, I can't wait to get up there and get back to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
See what's going on.
They got the Corvette raffle going on and the sprint car raffle going on as well right now.
They're
And
drawing for that Corvette on the final night of the Nationals.
they're giving $25,000 on top of that.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I'm not sure I was aware of that.
$25,000 on top of
Wow.
it, so you can pay the taxes on that thing.
So get your entries in now. August 13th is when they're going to draw for that thing.
Right, exactly.
So that's coming up. Oh, by the way, next Thursday and Friday, you and I are both going to go out to I-70.
Yeah.
Sports Park next
I will
Thursday
not
and
miss
Friday
that.
for the All-Stars.
Yeah,
that's going to be a big
Thursday
big
and Friday,
night.
right?
Thursday and Friday nights.
Yeah, no, I will not miss that. That'll be a good one. All right, thanks, folks, for tuning in to Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. We want to thank our friend Blake over at Sports Radio 810 WHB for helping us out in hour number one. Deidre, Todd, for helping us out here for both hours. For my partner, Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. It's all been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We'll see you on Monday on Mostly Motorsports, 12 noon Central Time, right here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and RacingBoys.com. We'll see you then.
Taking care of your car is a responsibility. It ensures the long life of your car and its expensive components. That's why Lucas Oil takes automotive protection so seriously. Lucas heavy-duty oil stabilizer bonds with motor oil to shield engines from heat and wear. So take pride in caring for your car and pass that pride and knowledge to the next generation for years of smooth, reliable driving on the long road ahead. Trust Lucas Oil. It works.